Look at your hands for a second. Really look at them. You think those hands are meant for typing emails, gripping steering wheels in traffic, or scrolling through the lives of people you don't even like? I thought mine were meant for signing contracts. I thought they were meant for holding a scotch glass at the end of a 14-hour day to numb the fact that I didn't know my own children's middle names. You think you have an infinite supply of Tuesdays. You don't. You have a finite number, and half of them are already gone. If you're listening to this and you're feeling that tightness in your chest, that realization that you're trading your life for stuff, pay attention to it. That's your soul trying to wake you up before the alarm clock stops ticking. I spent 30 years ignoring that tightness. I called it ambition. I called it grit. I was wrong. It was a warning. The lie is simple. Once I get there, I'll start living. But 6 weeks ago, the mountain collapsed. It didn't crumble slowly. It exploded. A routine checkup for a persistent cough turned into a quiet room with a doctor who couldn't look me in the eye. Stage 4. Non-small cell lung cancer. It had already invited itself into my bones and my brain. The doctor told me I had perhaps 3 months. I looked at my expensive watch, the one I bought to celebrate a $10 million exit, and realized for the first time in my life that the hands on that watch were moving toward my end, and no amount of money could turn them back. I'm writing this, or rather, I'm whispering this into a recorder because I am angry. I'm not angry at God, or the universe, or the cigarettes I smoked in my 20s. It doesn't exist. Let's talk about the success trap. Why do we do it? I'll tell you why I did it. I wanted to be envied. I thought that if I had the biggest house on the block, I would finally feel enough. I thought that if I made 7 figures, the void in my chest would close. But the void is a hungry ghost. The more you feed it achievement, the wider it stretches. I remember the night I closed the biggest deal of my career. It was a $30 million acquisition. I am angry at the version of me that thought a senior vice president title was worth more than a Tuesday afternoon with my wife. I am angry that I traded the only currency that matters, time, for a currency that is now useless to me. You, sitting there watching this, you're probably in the middle of it. You're stressed about a deadline. You're saving up for a car that will be scrap metal in 10 years. You're waiting for someday. I came home at midnight, vibrating with adrenaline. My wife was asleep. My kids were years deep into their own lives that I wasn't a part of. I sat in my dark kitchen, eating a cold piece of toast, and I felt nothing. I thought I needed the next deal. I thought the feeling of enough was just one more floor up. It wasn't. The feeling of enough was in the garden I never planted. It was in the books I bought but never read. It was in the eyes of my wife, Sarah, whom I treated like a secondary character in the movie of me. Now, I sit in this hospice ward. The walls are a beige color that tastes like despair. The only thing I have left is the truth. And the truth is this: everything you are currently sacrificing your peace for is a lie. The promotion? It's a heavier chain. The bigger house? It's more rooms to be lonely in. The respect of your peers? They'll replace you in a week after your funeral. I watched a man die in the room next to mine yesterday. He was a high school janitor. He didn't have a Patek Philippe. But all day, his room was filled with people. His grandchildren, his former students, his neighbors. They were laughing through tears, sharing stories of how he made them feel seen. When he passed, the hallway felt heavier. When I die, my company will send a generic floral arrangement paid for by a corporate credit card. And by Monday, someone else will be sitting in my carbon fiber chair. Who won? The CEO with the terminal diagnosis and a bank account full of regret, or the janitor who spent his time on people? In this first part of my final message, I want to strip away your excuses. You think you're working for your family? Ask them. Ask your kids if they want the new iPad or if they want you to sit on the floor and play a board game with them without checking your phone. I know what they'll say, but I didn't ask. I assumed. And now, I am paying the ultimate price for that assumption. There is a specific kind of silence that exists in a hospice room at 3 a.m. It's not a peaceful silence. It's heavy. It's a silence that demands you think about every time you said the word later. Later is the most dangerous word in the human language. It is the coffin where we bury our joy while we are still alive. I was the king of later. When my wife, Sarah, asked if we could take a walk through the park on a random Tuesday, I said later. When my son, Leo, brought me a drawing he'd spent all afternoon on, I told him I'd look at it later because I was in the middle of a conference call. Now, later has arrived. and it looks like a morphine drip and a view of a parking lot. I want to tell you about a man named David. David worked in the mailroom of my firm when I was a junior partner. I used to walk past him every morning. I'd see him laughing with the security guards, or showing someone a photo of a fish he'd caught over the weekend. I looked down on him. In my arrogance, I saw him as someone who had settled. He made maybe $40,000 a year. He drove a dented sedan. He didn't have a title. I used to think, how can he be so happy with so little? I realize now that David wasn't settling. He was winning. While I was staying until 10 p.m. to impress a board of directors who wouldn't remember my name 6 months after I'm gone, David was at home. He was coaching his son's baseball team. He was sitting on the porch with his wife, drinking cheap beer and watching the sunset. He was present. I was an achiever, but I was a ghost in my own home. I was physically there, sitting at the dinner table, but my mind was 3 zip codes away, calculating quarterly projections. My son is 22 now. He came to visit me yesterday. He sat by my bed, and for the first time in a decade, we didn't talk about his grades or his career path. I reached out to hold his hand, and I realized I didn't know the texture of his skin. I didn't know the calluses on his palms or the scar on his knuckle, because for 20 years, I was too busy holding a smartphone to hold his hand. He looked at me with this mix of love and pity that burns worse than the cancer. He said, "Dad, I always wondered what you were looking for in that office." I didn't have an answer, because whatever I was looking for, I didn't find it. The corporate world sells you a dream that is actually a treadmill. They tell you that if you just get to the next level, you'll be secure. But the more you earn, the more you spend. And the more you spend, the more you have to work. You become a slave to a lifestyle that you're too tired to even enjoy. I bought a beach house 5 years ago. It cost me $2 million. Do you know how many nights I spent there? 6. 6 nights in 5 years. And even during those 6 nights, I spent 4 of them in the home office with the blinds closed, arguing with attorneys in London. I traded the sound of the ocean for the sound of an angry dial tone. I think about the small moments now, not the weddings, not the graduations. I think about the smell of rain on the pavement. I think about the way Sarah's hair smells when she wakes up. I think about the way the light hits the kitchen floor on a Saturday morning. I had a million of those moments, and I threw them all in the trash because I thought they were ordinary. I thought extraordinary was a private jet. I thought extraordinary was a keynote speech. Let me tell you something I've learned while watching the nurses change my 4 bags. The ordinary moments are the extraordinary ones. They are the only things that remain when the lights start to dim. When you are dying, you don't ask to see your bank statement one last time. You don't ask to see the award you won in 2014. You ask for one more Tuesday. One more boring, rainy, unremarkable Tuesday where you can just sit with the people you love and feel the breath in your lungs. You think you have an infinite supply of Tuesdays. You don't. You have a finite number, and half of them are already gone. If you're listening to this and you're feeling that tightness in your chest, that realization that you're trading your life for stuff, pay attention to it. That's your soul trying to wake you up before the alarm clock stops ticking. I spent 30 years ignoring that tightness. I called it ambition. I called it grit. I was wrong. It was a warning. I look at David now, the mailroom guy. I saw a post of his on social media recently. He's retired now. He's in a small cabin, holding a granddaughter. He looks radiant. He looks like a man who spent his life well. And here I am, in a $5,000 a night medical suite, surrounded by the best technology money can buy. And I would trade every cent I have just to have one of David's ordinary afternoons. I'm a billionaire in regret and a beggar in time. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you're staring at a heart monitor to realize that your life is happening right now, and the things you're currently ignoring. The perfect time to live isn't after the promotion. It isn't after the kids graduate. It isn't after you hit your savings goal. The perfect time is exactly right now, in this messy, imperfect, stressful moment, because this moment is the only one you're guaranteed to have. There is a ghost in my house. It's not a supernatural being. It's the man I used to be. Every time Sarah walks into this hospital room, I see her looking at me, and I know she's not just seeing a dying man. She's seeing 20 years of empty chairs, cold beds, and broken promises. We had this game we played for 18 years, or rather, a lie we told each other. She would say, "Thomas, let's take that trip to the Amalfi Coast. Just us. No phones. And I would say the magic word, after. After this merger. After the kids are in college. After I secure the legacy. I was so focused on building a legacy that I forgot that a legacy isn't a building with your name on it or a trust fund. A legacy is the way people feel when they think about you. And right now, when my wife thinks about me, I know she feels a profound, aching loneliness. Yesterday, Sarah sat by my bed and started talking about our 10th anniversary. I realized, with a punch to the gut, that I couldn't remember it. I searched my brain, desperate for a memory of a candlelit dinner or a shared laugh. Nothing. Then she told me why. You weren't there, Thomas. You were in Singapore. You sent me a bouquet of lilies and a Cartier bracelet with a note written by your assistant. I traded a milestone of our love for a business trip I don't even remember the purpose of. I have the bank records to prove I was successful that year, but I have no memories to prove I was a husband. To the men and women listening to this who are grinding for their families, stop lying to yourself. You aren't doing it for them. You're doing it for your own ego. You're doing it because you're addicted to the validation of the world. And the world is a cruel master. The world will take everything you give it and still ask for more. While the people in your own home are starving for a crumb of your attention. I look at Sarah now. She's 48. She's still beautiful. But there's a weariness in her eyes that I put there. It's the weariness of a woman who stopped asking for help because she knew the answer would always be I'm too busy. It's the weariness of a woman who learned to fix the leaky faucet herself, who learned to celebrate her wins alone, and who eventually stopped sharing her dreams with me because I never had the bandwidth to listen. You think you're providing. You think the money makes up for the absence. It doesn't. Money can buy a house, but it can't buy the feeling of safety that comes from knowing someone truly sees you. I provided a mansion, but I left my wife to live in it as a widow long before I ever got sick. The most painful part of dying isn't the physical pain. It's the things left undone. It's the conversations we never had because I was checking my email under the table. It's the movies we never watched because I fell asleep on the couch from exhaustion. It's the way I never really looked at her. I met a woman here in the hospice, an older volunteer named Helen. She lost her husband 30 years ago. She told me something that changed the way I look at every nurse that walks into this room. She said, Thomas, when my Jim died, I didn't miss his paycheck. I didn't miss the car he drove. I missed the way he used to hum while he made coffee. I missed the way he'd squeeze my hand 3 times to say I love you when we were in a crowd. I realized I don't have a hum. I don't have a secret signal. I have a signature. I have a professional reputation. But I don't have those tiny, molecular threads of connection that hold a soul together when the body fails. I spent my life trying to be a great man. I should have just tried to be a present man. If you're sitting in your car right now, or in your office, or on your couch with your phone in your hand while someone you love is in the next room, put the phone down. Go into that room. Look them in the eyes and ask them a question about their soul. Not their day. Not their work, their soul. Listen to the answer like your life depends on it. Because one day, your life will depend on those memories. When you're where I am, you won't be thinking about the big moments. You'll be haunted by the I love yous that stayed locked behind your teeth because you were thinking about a spreadsheet. I have a month left. Maybe less. And the thing I want most in the world isn't a cure. It isn't another $1 million. It's just one more boring Tuesday night on the couch with Sarah, where I'm not thinking about work. Just one night where I am finally, truly, 100% there. But the ghost of the man I was has already stolen all those Tuesdays, and he's not giving them back. I have reached the end of my words. My breath is becoming a chore, and the light in this room seems to be dimming, even though the sun is high in the sky. People ask me if I'm afraid of what's next. I'm not. The darkness of the after doesn't scare me. What scares me is the brightness of the life I had, which I treated like it was infinite. We live our lives as if we are reading a book that never ends. We skim the chapters, skipping the boring parts, waiting for the big plot twist, the big climax, the grand finale. But I am here to tell you that the beauty of the book is in the margins. It's in the sentences you read twice. It's in the rustle of the pages. And most importantly, you don't get to know which page is your last. I am looking at my daughter, Leo, and my wife, Sarah, right now. They are talking in hushed tones by the window. They think I'm asleep. I'm watching the way the light catches the stray hairs on Sarah's forehead. I'm watching the way Leo bites her lip when she's worried, a habit she got from me. These are the things I am taking with me. Not my company. Not my reputation. Not the car in the garage. Just these tiny, flickering images of the people I almost missed. Here is my final request to you, and I want you to listen closely, because I am paying for this advice with my life. Stop trying to become something. You already are something. You are a living, breathing miracle with a limited number of heartbeats. Every second you spend trying to prove your worth to people who don't love you is a second you are stealing from the people who do. Every time you choose productivity over presence, you are gambling with a currency you can never earn back. Go home. If you're at the office, turn off the computer. The work will be there tomorrow, but your child's childhood won't. If you're holding a grudge against a parent or a sibling, drop it. Not because they deserve it, but because you don't deserve to carry that weight into your final hour. Take the trip. Not the Sunday trip, the now trip. Buy the plane tickets even if the timing isn't perfect. It will never be perfect. There will always be a project, a bill, or a reason to stay. Go anyway. Walk the streets of that city. Eat the food. Feel the sun on your face. Earn the thing you've been putting off. Pick up the guitar. Paint the canvas. Write the first page of the book. Not to be the best at it, but to feel the spark of being alive. We weren't put on this earth to be machines of achievement. We were put here to experience the wonder of being. I have a bucket list on my nightstand. It's a pathetic piece of paper now. Hike the Appalachian Trail. See the Northern Lights. I used to think those were the big goals. I was wrong. My real bucket list should have been, hear Sarah laugh until she cries. Watch the sunrise without thinking about my inbox. Hold my daughter's hand until she falls asleep. I failed those goals more often than I met them. In a few minutes, the nurse will come in to check my vitals. She'll see a man with a prestigious history and a failing body. But when you look at me, I want you to see a mirror. Look at my regrets and use them as a map to find your own joy. Use my too late to fuel your just in time. The world will try to tell you that you are your bank account, your job title, or your social media following. It is a lie. You are the love you give. You are the moments you witness. You are the peace you find in a quiet afternoon. My time is up. The clock has finally run out of ticks for Thomas. But your clock? It's still ticking. Can you hear it? That sound isn't just measuring time, it's asking you a question. It's asking, what are you going to do with the light you have left? Don't wait for a doctor to tell you that you're dying to start living. Start today. Start this second. Put down the phone. Look up. Breathe. And for God's sake, be there. Really, truly, deeply, be there. Goodbye. And thank you for listening to a man who had to lose everything to finally see what he had.